Hey there, welcome back to the Generations Legal Group YouTube channel. My name is Todd Watley, and I'm one of the attorneys at Generations Legal Group. I am a certified elder law attorney and been doing this 25 years. I'm actually the founder of the firm, and I thank you for joining us. This is our third in a series of YouTube videos we're doing, and plan to do a whole bunch of them. Would absolutely love for you to like and subscribe and comment if you have any questions or comments on this video. And if you would like for us to cover a particular topic dealing with estate planning, elder law, anything like that, please feel free to let us know. The best way to do that is Trisha, Trisha, at generationslegalgroup.com. Just email her and we will take that into consideration. And if I think I can do a good video on it, I'll do it. All right. We are continuing our discussion of trust. Okay. So let's talk about trust and how those work in estate planning. Okay. Because there's a lot of questions, a lot of concerns about that. All right. So, unveiling the world of trust, unraveling the nuances of trust for wealth management and asset protection. When we start talking about asset protection, we're talking about irrevocable trust. Okay. And so, number one, let's just kind of cover the basics. And what is a trust? It is a legal arrangement, it's a thing that we create that can own property, just like a business can own property, another person can own property. We're creating another entity that is recognized by the IRS and by legal standards as being an entity that can own property. Okay. So a trust is a legal arrangement where one party holds assets on behalf of another party. And don't get confused by the language. If you created a revocable living trust, you're transferring assets from your name into the trust, but the trustee of that revocable living trust is probably you. And so you're holding it for your benefit. Okay. It's kind of a legal interesting point there that the trust owns it, but you're in control of it and you benefit from it. It looks the same looking in from the outside. It's like, oh, Todd's in his house mowing his yard at his house, but he really doesn't own it anymore. The trust owns it, but I control it and I benefit from it. So it's pretty cool, and it needs to be that way to not go through probate. There is still as much flexibility in a revocable living trust to asset management as there was before. Now, when we go into an irrevocable trust, there's going to be a few restrictions on there, but it's worth it. Okay. To, if that fits your need, it is worth it to get the benefits from the irrevocable trust. There are tax advantages. Okay. Even with an irrevocable trust or revocable trust, there are some huge tax advantages that I could spend days on. I won't go into on this video. We may do a future video on the tax advantages, but just know, yes, there are tax advantages with the trust, and with an irrevocable trust for yourself, there is asset protection. Even with a revocable living trust, when you leave it to your kids in trust, there are asset protections for your kids, even with a revocable trust. What is a revocable trust? It is a legal entity created during the grantor's lifetime. Okay. The grantor maintains control and can modify or revoke the trust at any time with a revocable trust. Asset transfers, you still with either trust, but particularly with the revocable living trust, you transfer assets into the trust. Management. Typically, the person who creates the trust, the person who owned the assets before and put the assets into the trust, they manage the assets. It's a huge tool in your estate planning. It provides a whole lot of benefits, a lot of things that will make sure your assets go where you want it to go upon your death. And with a revocable trust, there is flexibility. You lose some of that flexibility with an irrevocable trust, but with the revocable living trust, you can revoke it, you can change it, you can do basically what you want to with it as long as you're competent and can make those changes, and there are huge tax benefits. Now, an irrevocable trust is a powerful tool for protecting assets, minimizing taxes, and ensuring a lasting legacy. John D. Rockefeller. Hopefully, he said that, found that on the internet, so it's got to be true, right? Administration of the trust. Now, someone's got to be in control of the trust. While you're alive and it's a revocable living trust, you're in control of it. And it's really not much different than anything that you would do right now. You would still pay your bills and invest your money and change investments and buy and sell and do everything. You can do all of that in a revocable trust. Okay. The trustee's role and responsibilities is to use the money for the benefit of the beneficiaries. And if you create the trust, you're the beneficiary and you're the trustee. So you're going to use the money in your benefit. Now, we can split those two. The trustee can be one person and the beneficiary can be a different person. Please understand, even though the trustee has complete control of the trust, they have a responsibility, a fiduciary responsibility to use the trust funds for the benefit of the beneficiary. So people get nervous and they're like, I don't know if, trust me, there are legal mechanisms in place to make sure that the trustee will do the right thing for the beneficiaries, but still pick the right person. Okay. The trust administration process is it's a process. It's, filing taxes, it's rearranging the assets as needed, it's paying bills, it's doing all of the things that you do with your money. The trustee administers the trust according to the terms of the trust to do what should be done, particularly at your death. You say the trust needs to be divided between four kids, the trustee steps in, gets those assets together, and does what the trust says. The reason we do trust sometimes are for complex situations. And so it's very often that a trust is doing something that is very complex. You know, there's a lot of things, but you do a trust because you have a more complex estate plan and the trust will do that. And it's absolutely important that you have professional guidance as the trustee to make sure that it's done correctly. Tax considerations. Okay. So, with a revocable trust, really the IRS does not even recognize revocable trust because before you create the trust, you own it and you control it and you benefit from it. After the trust, you don't own it, but you still benefit from it and you control it. So therefore, really nothing's different to the IRS. So the IRS doesn't even recognize revocable living trust. The tax ID number of a revocable living trust is your social security number. So the IRS really doesn't care. With an irrevocable trust, that is different, okay? Because there are some restrictions on there that will make sure that it is um, not it could be not in your estate, it could still be in your estate, and that's where it gets really complicated. But there are some advantages to with asset protection, but then you're paying income held within the trust is going to pay at trust tax rates, which are higher than personal tax rates. Okay. Just know there are some tax disadvantages to an irrevocable trust. Advantages of a trust, asset protection. Again, please make sure that you're clear on this. A revocable living trust that you create does not have asset protection for you, and it also does not have Medicaid advantages for you because you benefit from the trust. With a revocable living trust, once you leave it to your kids, if it is left in trust, and most trusts don't do that, but they should, if the money is left in trust for the benefit of the beneficiaries, there are asset protections there if it is worded correctly. With an irrevocable trust, since you lose some of the flexibility with that trust, there can be asset protection both from creditors and also from Medicaid with a trust. There is estate planning flexibility. You can do some fancy things to make sure the kids get the money, they're not in control of the money, or whole different things we can do. Basically, if there's something you want to do, tell us, and we're going to do our best to make sure that the trust does it. There are definitely tax advantages because we can do things with the money at the death of one spouse so that we can take advantage of those lifetime exemptions and do some really cool things with it. It is private. Fantastic benefit of a trust is it's private. Only the people managing and receiving really know what's going on. And it's really cool that once you become incapacitated, we don't have to go to court. We don't have to do anything. We just have a successor trustee who steps in and says, okay, they're incapacitated. I'm now in control and I'll manage the money for their benefit. No need for court involvement. Disadvantages. There are some complexities and some administrative cost with a trust. Okay. It just happens. And with an irrevocable trust, you are going to lose some control. Okay. You can't have the asset protection benefits without some sacrifices. And one of those is control of the assets. Please speak with someone who really knows what they're doing on this and can work through that with you. A revocable trust is very flexible. You can change that, but with an irrevocable, that's what the word irrevocable means. Can't change it. We don't make it so you can't change it. It's just very difficult to change it, but you do lose flexibility and it is difficult to amend. And there are some tax implications. Like we said, if you're keeping income in the trust and you're paying income tax at the trust rate, it's going to be higher than the personal rate. Trust versus wills. If you know me very well, you know I don't like wills because wills go through probate. A will is what tells the judge what to do with your stuff as you go through probate. You don't want to go through probate in most states. A trust will avoid probate if it is properly funded. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but understand there are family estate protections. Okay. Multi generational families, family owned businesses are gone by the third generation. It just, grandkids can't run it as well as the original owners. Same thing with money. With a trust, we can make sure we instill morals and attitudes toward money with a good trustee as it comes to them without just, here's the money, good luck. Okay. If you are charitably inclined, a trust is fantastic because you can make sure that a charity is benefited at the time of your death through the trust. Um, Special needs. Okay. I will do a whole video on special needs, but please understand you can leave money to a special needs child who is on public benefits and they still keep their benefits. Don't disinherit a special needs child. They probably need it more than anyone else. Leave the money to them, but you have to leave it in a special needs trust to make sure that they can still benefit from the money, but still get their public benefits. If you own a business, it's imperative that you meet with us and let us help you make sure that business transfers the way that you want it to in the most tax efficient way. So, number one, getting it done is a big deal, but then also getting it done and not paying some taxes would be fantastic. Okay. And again, in that same line, wealth management. Letting a trustee who is good with money and is good at investing and working with a planner is fantastic to make sure that this money lasts as many generations as possible. Choosing the right trust is difficult. Vast majority of trusts are revocable living trusts, but still, even within that, there are a lot of options we need to decide. But there are times when an irrevocable trust is appropriate, and we can look at that and talk about it. So, the purpose and objective, your purpose and your objective has to be conveyed to us so we can figure out exactly what to do. Looking at the type of trust determines the beneficiary circumstances. Can they handle money? Can they not handle money? Are they disabled? There's just a lot of things going on there, and particularly tax implications. We have to take taxes into account, or else you're going to waste a lot of money. And then the grantor's financial situation. Trusts are not just for rich people. You can be poor and have a very complex distribution plan and need a trust. Okay. So we have to look at your financial situation and we can make things fit within your financial guidelines. I promise. Trust professionals. It is imperative that you get a trust professional to help you with this. Seek counsel from qualified attorneys for trust creation. I'm on Facebook. I should get rid of it because it just makes me mad most of the time. But you will see that there are a lot of advertisement from estate planners, from non attorneys who are out there selling trust. And they're not giving you advice. They're just basically giving you the software that you go in and you fill it out. You're doing what you think is best. And you'll do this once. We've done it thousands of times. Let a professional please help you do that. Appointing a reputable trustee, that's one of the biggest mistakes I see people do is, oh, he's the oldest, he'll be the trustee. No, that makes no sense whatsoever. Or just bypass the kids altogether and go to a commercial trustee. That sometimes makes sense. Ensure transparency and open communication between the trustee, the beneficiaries, everybody, make sure everybody understands what's going on within your group, not publicly, but within your group. Ensure open communication and transparency, and a trust helps ensure that. A trust will make sure that the trustee adheres to fiduciary duties and legal obligations. The trustee can be sued by the beneficiaries. Okay. Another reason to name a commercial trustee so that your kids aren't suing each other. We can make sure that we safeguard your beneficiaries to make sure they don't get all of their money on their 18th birthday. We can make sure that they get it when they should 25, 30, 35, 50. Who knows? Okay. And then it fosters a relationship built on trust and integrity. It puts everything in this tool so that everybody knows what's going on and everybody can see it and enjoy what you've done. Now, creating a trust plan, identify the goals. You tell us what you want to happen. Your trust should be very specifically related to what you want done. Get the right type of trust. Okay. We've talked about that. Sometimes that's not as clear cut as you would think. Get the right trustees and successor trustees. Make sure your things get into the trust. We will help you fund your trust. Okay. Draft and execute the right documents. Drafting. Get a professional to draft your documents. Don't rely on something that you're telling it what to do. And then make sure there's ongoing administration. Make sure you're working with someone who can help you along the line to make sure this is done correctly. All right, Generations Legal Group, we are here. We would be honored to work with you. I'm Todd. Lauren's the other attorney. Doug, Sarah, Pearl, Trisha, and even sometimes Ian. If you have financial issues, we would love to look at that, help you through that. If you have questions about your financial stuff, we can do that. Generations Legal Group is a law firm. We do estate planning, we do Medicaid, long-term care type things. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe. Please share and comment. And if you have questions and would like for me to cover a specific topic, email Trisha, Trisha, at generationslegalgroup.com, and she'll get that information to me and we'll see about doing it. All right. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.